you ever hear a song and realize it almost never existed? This one, the record people call the song that saved George Jones, came to the world by inches. Imagine a classic that almost stayed in the drawer. Now here's what most people don't know. The people who believed in it had every reason to walk away.
Hold up. Which year are we talking about here? I want the date before you burn the whole room down with drama.
Released in 1980. It didn't explode the same week it hit the racks. It climbed. It simmered. Then it crashed into the country charts and hit #1. But that payoff came after months of doubt in the studio and in the label offices.
No way! Climbed to #1. Wow! Okay. Give me the short version. Who wrote it, who produced it, and why this wasn't an obvious no-brainer?
Bobby Braddock and Curly Putman wrote it. Billy Sherrill produced it. George Jones sang it. On paper, a heavy, almost bleak funeral of a love song in countrypolitan clothes. In practice, a collision between raw human voice and a producer who wouldn't let the song be prettified into emptiness.
Let me paint the scene. Late 70s Nashville, studios leaning toward polished productions, and George, brilliant but publicly falling apart, wasn't the sure bet he'd once been. Most folks don't know this part. He was in a commercial slump, and his image wasn't helping radio folks pick up new singles.
And then the title arrives, like a trap. He stopped loving her today. You think it's about someone finally moving on, until the last verse says otherwise. That final confession reframes the whole story. The title itself is the twist. It's devastating because the narrator doesn't find release. He's merely reporting an irreparable fact.
Wait, say more about that last verse. How does it flip the listener's expectation?
The song carefully lets you believe in a slow healing. The narrator catalogs little rituals, the picture on the mantle, the letters. Then the last line drops. The only thing that stops him is death. It's not a closure story. It's a report from a wake. That reversal makes every earlier image hollow and suddenly heartbreaking.
Most folks don't know this part. Writers argued the title was a risk. A title that spoils the twist can feel like giving away the punchline. But Braddock and Putman built enough detail around it that the risk became the engine. Every lyric earns that ending.
Exactly. And then came the sessions. Billy Sherrill, who knew how to make country sound grand, took a surprising route. He stripped where he could, added a string line like a soft breath behind the word mantle, and let Jones's voice sit bare in the space. That breathing string, it doesn't sweep, it leans in.
I'm going to push back a tad. I'm not sure it's fair to call it only restraint. I hear countrypolitan fingerprints, those background vocal washes and the tidy mix. Sherrill balanced rawness with radio sense. So it was raw, yes, but it was also carefully arranged to sit on the airwaves.
Fair point. And that's the genius. He dressed honesty in clothes radio could accept. But even within that polish, Jones lets small fractures in his voice breathe. There's a note later in the song that hangs, a tiny crack that says, without shouting, that this man has lived the ache.
Most folks don't know this. Session players were skeptical at first. They'd been asked for tight fills and quick hooks. Instead, they were told to hold back, to play like punctuation. The pedal steel becomes a whispering companion. The piano gives a single mournful chord here and there. Those choices create a felt emptiness rather than a full soundstage.
Listen to how Jones sings, kept her picture on the mantle. Tiny phrasing, almost conversational. That single domestic image opens an entire interior life. That one line tells you everything.
Whoa, that mantle line, it's domestic detail that locks you in. For listeners, tiny things like that turn abstract grief into something you can visualize.
Exactly. Those images are anchors, and the production respects them. The strings slip back in on the second chorus like a held breath, not a swell, just enough to underline the line without telling you how to feel.
Here's the wild part. The label and some programmers weren't sold at first. They thought the subject was too dark, the pace too slow. Radio played it cautiously, but listeners kept coming back. Word of mouth turned a hesitant single into a slow-burning classic.
The public response changed the story around George Jones. He went from troubled country star to the man who could sing sorrow like scripture. Awards and critical praise followed, and suddenly that fragile, uncertain performance became the thing that restored his legacy.
Most folks don't know this part. The song escaped being a mere obituary. It entered lives, weddings and funerals, late-night radio, songwriting syllabi. Writers cite it as a blueprint for using a title as both promise and reveal. That's risky, but here it works because every line earns that payoff.
And let's be careful about the lore. Stories about label fights and studio tempers make great anecdotes, but some are recollection rather than documentary fact. What's clearer is the result. A song whose emotional economy teaches composers how restraint and detail can amplify a narrative.
Let me add one technical note. The arrangement's low-frequency choices matter. The bass holds a steady, unflashy pulse. It keeps the track grounded. That kind of decision stops the song from drifting into melodrama. It keeps the focus on the story, not the production.
Before this was a hit, it was just an idea in a notebook. Now, decades on, it's a study in how title, lyric detail, production balance, and a singer's willingness to let his voice crack where it needs to, all of that makes something timeless. Next time you listen, start with the spaces, the pauses, the way a single broken breath sells the line.
If something landed with you today, that tiny lyric or the way the strings move, tell us which moment hit hardest. We read listener lines, and they shape the next deep dives.
Subscribe to Ranch Beat and drop your favorite lyric in the comments. Tell us the next country track you want us to break down. This is Ranch Beat. Every country song has a story, and we tell it.